From the stealing of the land of our country from the Native American people, to the enslavement of millions of people stolen from Africa, from the conquering of foreign lands and the bleeding of our own workers, to the brutality of today's mass unemployment, homelessness, and poverty, capitalism is not and has never been just humane or civilized. It is this class struggle between oppressor and oppressed that gave rise to the Communist Party, a party of action. For over 75 years, this fighting organization has been a powerful weapon in the hands of the working class.
The rich have pushed capitalism to the brink, and after 500 years, capitalism hasn't solved any basic needs of the people. The solution has got to be a socialist system.
We initiate struggles, we organize struggles, and we lead struggles, and we have been doing it for 75 years now.
The history of this country is full of revolution, so I think the American people have a long revolutionary tradition.
The working class has to be the group, the class that fights for socialism, because we're the ones who make the country run.
And what happens at the end of the day? They get only a little bit, in a sense, of what they produced, and the capitalist gets everything else.
Capitalism is a very insane and unjust system, and therefore doing away with it is a rather a simple, common kind of a task of people getting together and taking over the industry and operating them for their own good.
The only thing that we have is our unity and our organization. And racism and sexism are two very powerful weapons of the ruling class that is used to divide working people.
We're all people. We should all be united and be able to work together and stay together, because we need one another. We really do.
The color of racism is not between black and white or brown or Asian, but that color is green, and that's out to make a buck.
The ruling class is making bigger profits, and as a matter of fact, it's $120 billion a year from that wage differential. Same thing with men and women.
Part of the problem is the capitalist state, it makes a double standard. It says to us as women, you know, you're not a real woman unless you stay home and take care of your kids, right? But if you try to stay home and take care of your kids, then you're, you know, a quote welfare bitch, right? Living off the fat of taxpayers.
What's a bunch of bull? Because how can you possibly raise a child on what? They give you $60 more a month?
Okay.
And for poor women, for women of color, for working class women, this is a major issue. And it's an issue that hasn't been addressed, and it's something that the party has addressed and the party has talked about, that there are these other connections.
So by fighting racism, we're fighting for our future. By fighting sexism, we're fighting for our future, because our future relies on our unity.
Once we realize that we all the same class, instead of same race or same human race, it's cool. But once they found that we're the same class, then capitalism doesn't have a chance. Why in this morning, my belly's talking I don't understand.
And the party initiates struggles and movements that challenges the whole concept of what capitalism is.
Monopoly is only in its own interest for greater profits.
Where these transnationals can in fact move or so-called downsize their operations almost overnight.
Not because they're not profitable here, but to enhance their profit, seeking the absolute maximum profit.
It's rich keep getting richer and poor keep getting poorer. That's why we have homeless.
The corporations and the wealth is destroying the humanity out here and the human behavior of people. So what does the poor do out here? You got a class struggle and a class war out here.
Mass layoffs, so that Clinton can talk all he wants to about adding jobs. Most of them are part-time jobs to start with. But in the meantime, while he's talking about adding jobs, the big corporations are laying off tens of hundreds of thousands.
A lot of people have lost confidence in the system completely. And they don't know exactly how to change it. But they do know that the force they were told to fear most has a track record, the communists, in bringing about change and bringing about revolutionary change around the world.
In 1919, with the Industrial Revolution still expanding, the Communist Party was founded.
This is Chicago. This is where the Communist Party USA was founded. Radical workers from all over this country, from the IWW, from the Socialist Party, from the trade union movement, got together here and formed the party that's really transformed this whole nation.
The party grew out of the struggle to organize the steel workers who were locked in open confrontation for their lives.
That already set the stage for the party, and that is that William Z. Foster was organizing steel workers in 1919.
Unthinkable, unheard of, the ruling class worst nightmare.
It was a very militant and a bitter strike, but it was lost.
This perhaps may not appear to be the best atmosphere to found the Communist Party, but it's only when the times are the most difficult, when the situation, to the faint of heart perhaps, seems the most impossible, that a Communist Party can take root and begin to assert itself and organize it.
In 1929, the stock market crashed. American capitalism had plunged into the deep depression of the 1930s. But the solution to this fantastic situation, according to Herbert Hoover, was to wait until economic adjustment. But starving people couldn't wait. The people in power had no answers. But we communists had answers.
We found out through the newspaper, the People's World, that we weren't the cause of the Depression, that the Depression was caused by the capitalists and the bosses.
The party organized union organizations, tenants organizations that worked against evictions. It was grassroots organizing that produced the New Deal. It was the Communist Party that helped draft the bills for unemployment insurance, Social Security, and the Wagner Act, which legalized unionization. We instilled the sense that the government had a responsibility to create jobs, and that masses of people, when they unite, could force the government to do it.
There wouldn't be unemployment insurance or Social Security without the Communist Party. That's a big thing to say, but it's true.
Communists had formed the backbone of the drives to organize in basic industry, to organize mines and mills, and farmers, and build the CIO.
Communists were the most devoted. They were in the forefront in the ranks of organizing the unorganized.
They just didn't know how to get a handle on the steel workers, even to begin talking to them. So they hired every communist in sight that they could lay their hands on. One of them was Gus Hall.
So the party made the decision that time had come and that the workers were ready for organization.
The reason that they were successful was because they not only that were trying to organize a union, they were trying to organize the party.
The big problem was to get some money to organize a steel union. So we had to convince John L. Lewis, we had to convince him that it was possible.
Much of the executive board joined the party. Gus came in when they had the SWOC, and most of the organizers joined because party guys were the most effective fighters.
There was finally a strike called in Little Steel in 1937.
Our party played an important role there. On Memorial Day, there was a picket line in which the police attacked the picket without any provocation. The people that were already dead, they were still beating them up. The party played a very important role in exposing it. I don't think that strike would have been won without the communists.
And we never got the credit for what the party did in initiating these trade union movements. And so now the retirees of steelworkers just gave an award to Gus Hall, but actually it was for the party.
Little Steel comprised the first major victory of the CIO. The struggle for racial unity was key to the victory.
The role of the labor movement up to that point had been one of rejection of black workers.
The Communist Party works against division, against racism, and the separation of people by race.
Before the civil rights movement, the party had an idea that you can't unite, for instance, the workers in trade unions without a struggle against racism.
That's very dangerous in the eyes of the corporations, and they utilize it to divide.
It was in the white workers' interest to get black workers to also want to join the union, because that would give them added strength to make demands against the bosses.
That gave us success, and we literally united the trade union movement, the steelworkers in the South.
During this period, the party reached mass proportion. Tens of thousands of mostly working-class people, black, white, and brown, joined the Communist Party and the Young Communist League.
When I joined after the Amsterdam strike, I joined with 2 or 3 others of the strikers, but I didn't consult my husband about it. He didn't know about it. One of his friends told him, "Did you know what your wife was doing?" Well, she's joined the party. Soon after that, he did join the party. He didn't tell me. I found out about it too. I cannot imagine that socialism will do anything but overcome. I feel confident that we will overcome. I am a member of the Communist Party, and I will stay there forever.
Far before the U.S. entry into World War II, communists realized the greatest threat to the world came from fascism and initiated a worldwide united front against fascism.
Fascism is a movement to support the needs and the wants of big business. In the final analysis, communists played a decisive role in feeding fascism militarily and every other way.
The launching of the Cold War and the nuclear age was designed to establish U.S. imperialist domination of the whole world. This meant the suppression of dissent at home, which included the silencing of the Communist Party. The Smith Act and other laws were designed to illegalize the party and jail its leaders.
It is a way of life, an evil and malignant way of life. It reveals a condition akin to disease.
We became a danger to the rich, to the monopolies, to the big corporations. At least they thought we were.
In effect, there are 25,000 potential foreign agents.
That's one of the big anti-communist lies, that, we're agents of a foreign power or something like this out of the McCarthy era.
And since 1948, altogether, 105 of the principal leaders of the Communist Party in this country have been indicted, and of these, 67 have been convicted for conspiring to advocate the overthrow of our government by force and violence.
Totally false. And finally, I think we have convinced most Americans that it was totally a false charge.
We need a new law to eliminate communist control of any industrial organization or any labor union.
As I speak to you now, 50,000 indignant New Yorkers are inside and outside Madison Square Garden in a giant demonstration demanding the veto and defeat of the Taft-Hartley slave labor bill. Ladies and gentlemen, William Z. Foster.
The Wall Street monopolists with their Taft-Hartley bill are trying to split and devitalize and hamstring the trade unions. The Taft-Hartley bill, moreover, would drastically limit the workers' right to strike. It would authorize the president to break national strikes. It would permit employers once again to use strike-breaking injunctions. Wall Street, with its fascist-like Taft-Hartley bill, also wants to kill the Communist Party. But they will fail in this as in their other anti-labor objectives. The workers, the American people, need a strong Communist Party, and it will be built despite Wall Street profiteers and exploiters.
You have heard William Z. Foster, chairman of the Communist Party, which purchased the foregoing 15 minutes.
Good morning. This is the Communist Party, USA. Well, the working class of the USA has been handed another blow. A right jab, you might call it. The Federal Reserve Board has kicked up interest rates again. The concern of the ruling elite in general is to hold the unemployment figure at around 6%. So we continue to hear of the big recovery. But the jobless and the underemployed are certainly not reaping any benefits.
Corporate America's offensive of the 80s began with Reagan smashing Patco and ended 12 years later with the defeat of Bush. If strike-breaking characterized the Reagan years, by the end of Bush's administration, militant labor fight-backs characterized struggle in the 90s.
And wherever workers are on picket lines, marching, demonstrating, we give all-out coverage.
You got the Caterpillar workers resisting the worst union-busting campaign we've seen in this country in years. You have the state police busting up their picket lines. And the party's in the middle of this war zone in Illinois. We're on all the picket lines. We're out there with the People's Weekly World, the only paper that really tells the story of what's happening in these strikes. People are joining the party in Chicago like never before, because the same problems that plagued the working class in 1919 when the party was founded plagues the working class today.
We started distributing the paper at Circuit-Wise a number of years ago when we learned that there was a organizing drive taking place.
I'm one of the hard workers that fought the struggle at Circuit-Wise to get a union in after 6 years.
We felt that this plant and the workers in it were extremely important.
Every time we try to fight, it seemed like Circuit-Wise would do something to knock us down. At first I was afraid to go with the union, and in reading the paper I see there were a lot of people that weren't afraid, and I felt that I had to stand strong and not be afraid also.
Once the workers feel that empowerment and feel that they can make a decision and that decision can be carried out because of their creativity, it's something that you can't take away from them.
We survived. We did get our first contract, and it was very exciting. It was the support that I got from the party. Always out here on the picket line with us, and on our struggles with us, talking to us, encouraging us to do the right thing.
We fight differently. We don't mind saying, you know, that workers should get more. They should get all of it.
Once they get that attitude, you know, the idea of having a revolutionary change in the workplace and beginning in the workplace, it's just incredible.
To me, socialism is a group of people getting together, doing the right thing for the working class.
People learn through the struggle. They will learn.
The People's Weekly World.
The coverage of the Pittston strike.
And if it takes every day till we get a contract, we'll be here. And we don't want no scam. It's our job, our town. The union's here to stay.
When the miners took over a coal preparation plant, the People's Weekly World had two correspondents who were the only reporters who were asked to come in to cover it from the inside. And that was similar to the 1930s when our reporter was asked to come inside to report the battle from inside the plant of the auto workers.
It's a counterbalance against the corporate media, you know.
Yes, I do read it.
What do you like about the paper?
The recipes. I want to put in a recipe. No, I like when they go around the world and they do stories of what's happening in other areas of our world.
If I want to find out something about the working class or what's going on in the peace movement, I read the Daily World. Well, I should say Weekly World now. That's the paper I read to find out what's going on. Now, if I want to find out what's on at the movie house, not the Midway Mall, I'll read the Oriole Chronicle.
People fighting for rights, a struggle, the working class, fighting for things that they want and need and deserve.
This new jobs bill that has just been introduced into the Congress by two California Congress members, Maxine Waters and Matthew Martinez, if we can win the passage, is going to provide $300 billion worth of money, which is going to go to jobs development programs. And this is going to be extremely important for the whole working class in this country, and I think this is one of the most important stories that we've been covering in the recent period.
I want to invite people who are not now readers of the paper to to become readers and become a contributor to the paper. We have to raise $400,000 every year to sustain this paper, and it comes out of the pockets of working class people who dig deep to keep this paper going.
If the system won't respond to people's needs, then we must change the system. Today's agenda includes a job for all, health care, an end to racism, for full equality, peace, decent homes, and the right to education. The stronger and bigger the party, the more militant and united the people's movements will be to fight for these demands. We are confident that great victories can be won today, and that the great goal of socialism can be achieved.
Socialism is the future of civilization and humanity. There's no way that we can avoid that.
Socialism really is the defining character of our party and of the YCL.
I mean, workers taking power. I mean, that's just the process of world history, moving the society onward, you know? I mean, when that doesn't happen, you know, we're in regress. We're regressing.
When socialism comes to the United States, it would have a particularly United States type of flavor.
I don't think I'd strive for anything that I wouldn't want somebody else to have. Goals of socialism to care for each other. I mean, meaningfully, not just say it in words like you hear our politicians nowadays.
The point is not just to do it for us, but for the generations that come behind us.
There's really no movement that's for socialism in the United States like the Communist Party. We honestly advocate socialism. We think it's not only a good replacement, it's a fine replacement for this capitalist system.
All the other cities in our great country would be qualitatively better because children wouldn't be hungry in them, there wouldn't be homelessness in the street, there would not be unemployment. We'd have to fight for it.
The struggle for socialism is a longer-term fight, although I don't think we should see it as something way, way off in the distant future.
Well, socialism won't come dropping out of the sky, nor will it one day if people wake up, oh, that's what we need. It will come about as a result of struggle around the conditions we face every day.
When you want to make a journey of 1,000 miles, you have to make that step by step. We have to all learn together, millions and millions of us.
People are mad, and when you reach that critical mass, when you combine anger with organization, I think we're about there. I think there's going to be great changes in the future, and I think we're going to win great gains in our lifetime soon.
The Communist Party and Young Communist League is now experiencing rapid growth. Hundreds of new members have come in. They are working people, black, brown, white, and yellow, men and women, younger and older, joining the party and the YCL out of protest.
And the party now is growing faster. It's grown I don't know when. And we are very delighted and excited about that growth of the party.
It's a new moment. Millions are discovering that communists are like Mayday and rap music and apple pie. Made in America, made by America.
Well, we're on the streets. Our party's on the streets. All of a sudden, our district has been shaken by a membership explosion, both in the party and YCL.
Sing it.
Last weekend, 109 new members in 2 days, including 84 at one street fair. This is something that's totally new. It says that the American people are ready to join the Communist Party in the millions. We have to be asking people, because if we do, they're going to join. We just talked to them about signing our petition for jobs, and then we invite them to join the Communist Party and Young Communist League. That's the main thing. You have to ask, and people will join.
Well, it seems to be very positive, and we need more jobs, and people need to work and get the kids off the street. You got a lot of people doing a lot of illegal stuff because there's no jobs. Yeah, jobs needed a lot. Health care, all sort of stuff. So this seems like a good idea.
I'm a senior at Edward R. Murrow High School, and me and some of my friends have decided that basically we really need the change in this government, that politics have been totally mismanaged. We're all very interested in the Communist Party because it seems to show more opportunities for workers, for any people, as a matter of fact.
We're getting just a cross-section of the people of our country. And we estimate there are millions of people out there who would join the party in YCL if they were asked today.
Okay.
Brothers and sisters, comrades, young communists, and friends, history places this challenge before you, places this challenge before all of us. It's your class, your people, and future generations that call out to you. I'm confident that this generation will take up the challenge, and as that generation in the 30s met the challenge of history, we can be greatly confident that this generation will.
There's no movement or party like the Communist Party. There's no movement that's so totally dedicated to the question of fighting for the interests of workers and people and against racism.
Wherever there's a strike, wherever there's a community struggle, wherever is a struggle for justice and equality, we'll be together.
And I know some are members of the party, I don't know who is or who isn't here, but all the things we're talking about, you know what I say? It's enough to make you want to join the Communist Party.
Right this way.
I must say, a young person today who sees a society willing to build jails but not provide jobs for young people. The Young Communist League, I think, is the way for young people to fight back against these conditions and to improve their lives and to make revolutionary change.
To be all that you can be.
If you see anyone who says he's a communist and comes up and tries to talk to you, check him out.
I remember clearly the first feeling I had was, I have always been a member of the party, whether I knew it or not. I didn't have a name to put with it that that's what I was.
I don't know, I think everybody should, that sees this video or has ever thought about joining the Communist Party, or if you want to join the Communist Party and you're under 35 and want to join the Young Communist League, this is the time, this is the moment, this is when history needs you.